Welcome to Modern Aikidoist Podcast. Please help by liking, subscribing, and sharing this podcast if you're watching this on YouTube or BitChute. These are all free and help out a great deal. Word of mouth is how shows like this reach more people who are interested. Another way you can support this podcast is by way of a PayPal tip jar. You can leave a donation of any amount you like or set up a monthly donation just like Patreon or Subscribestar. There's a link in the description. I sincerely appreciate your interest and support. Today's podcast offers my thoughts on positive and productive changes that we Aikido practitioners and instructors can make to improve the art and how it's perceived. I think we must be honest and realize there's quite a journey ahead to restore Aikido as a practical martial art. I realize some will probably find that statement painful to hear, but I feel it is the truth. It's disappointing to hear and see how Aikido is viewed. While I'm disappointed that people hold a poor view of Aikido, I understand where these opinions come from. I'm outright disgusted with how Aikido is often represented, and that has to do with what some instructors and practitioners are doing. Rather than dwell on those things or vent on them, it is far more helpful to go over tangible and positive things we can and should be doing to be good ambassadors and representatives of Aikido. Everything starts with attitude. The martial arts world is filled with poor attitudes, and the worst thing that you can do is reflect and adapt the poor attitudes of others. There will always be those who look down on Aikido and boast that their art is superior. Do not waste time arguing with people like this or engaging in conflict. We gain nothing by taking on their negative attitudes. Unfortunately, Aikido has quite a few people who indulge in this kind of behavior. Our community can be just as arrogant, conceited, and elitist as any other. Sometimes I think even more so. The reason is we never have to put our money where our mouth is and prove our art is valid. Instead, practitioners just argue about it and often put up nonsensical and outright bad arguments. This creates a major perception problem. The way to solve this is to avoid arguments with other martial artists and actually show them what we do. Get on the mat and train with these people. Show them by teaching and training what Aikido can do. I've had martial arts instructors comment that they didn't think much of Aikido until we got on the mat together. It changed their view of Aikido entirely. Of course, I make a concerted effort to train with other martial artists of all kinds. A vast majority of martial artists don't do this and instead only train amongst themselves, and it shows in their level of ability. They might be good at their art, but get them out of their small comfort zone and it is immediately evident that they are not well-rounded. If you're an instructor, your students will look to you as an example. If you don't get out and get exposure to other arts, they probably won't either. That's a big responsibility, making sure that your students are well-rounded and don't have gaping holes in their abilities. If you are ambitious in this regard, you will make sure that they are not out of their element dealing with a wrestler, boxer, kicker, jiu-jitsu fighter, etc. You don't need to be an expert in these realms, but should have solid methods for dealing with them. If all Aikido Yudansha were well-rounded like this, the reputation of Aikido would be entirely different. Aikido practitioners should also be able to easily handle street-style aggression with confidence. Aikido has within it very effective tools for this, and these things should be taught to new students and drilled until they become reflex. It's amazing the confidence that this builds. Students can learn the more intricate and elaborate techniques in time, but should have something solid to show for their first few months of training. Something they can trust when things start to go sideways and they start to get frightened. Some would disagree with me that Aikido has the potential to be a solid self-defense art. To those, I would invite you to take a look at the fact that Tony Blauer designed a popular self-defense system called Spear based on an Aikido movement, Shomenuchi Ikkyo Undo. He modified it slightly and turned it into the basis of his very effective system. If you are a seasoned practitioner or instructor, there's no reason that you could not do the same thing. Work up a subset curriculum of the simplest and most direct self-defense techniques that you trust and teach those to new students. If you have the right mindset and positive attitude, you can do it. If you're interested, you can get help doing this. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. The tools are all there in Aikido. It just takes looking at them from a slightly different perspective. The rationalization that people should not get into fights will not be of any comfort to a student. Realize that to someone looking to get into martial arts training, such a statement has a bad odor to it. Anyone who has been bullied or faced with a jerk who's getting aggressive knows that merely being nice will not afford protection. You can be nice as apple pie and still get attacked. Not that one wants to get into a fight, but stressing people should avoid fights makes it sound like the art cannot handle real aggression. No one in their right mind would bother training in a martial art which has no practical use for defending themselves. This is one of Aikido's main image problems. It is an identity crisis, and it is a pretty serious issue which needs to be addressed. I'm not sure how things will go in the future, but I think Aikido has two primary camps it has separated into. One camp is made up of practitioners who believe that Aikido is just about anything except a martial art. The second are those who believe it is a martial art, first and foremost. I'm not sure these camps can reconcile under one roof. Unfortunately, since they both use the name Aikido, it will not be clear to anyone outside the Aikido world which camp a practitioner, dojo, or organization is a part of. This confusion makes it difficult for people to understand Aikido. In regards to the two camps, I suppose it's kind of like a married couple who is constantly arguing. Observers wonder why they're married at all. In Aikido's case, one answer that might make sense would be a divorce. One group would take on another name and make this clear to those both within the Aikido community and the public at large. A good example of this working well is Tai Chi and Kung Fu. The Chinese got it right. Both of these arts use the same movements, but one is a practical martial art and the other is a martial-flavored movement practice meant for exercise and body wellness. This clear distinction makes it easy for everyone to understand. If you get deeper into Tai Chi, there are practical forms for it, but the world largely understands and accepts that Tai Chi is not meant to be a self-defense art. If Aikido could somehow find a way to embrace a label change to make it more clear, it would be easier to communicate with prospective students about what they are getting. I think this would be a tremendous advantage to both camps. The spiritual, philosophy-based, movement practice folks would have an easier time attracting people interested in their brand of Aikido, and martial arts self-defense interested people would be drawn to Aikido's martial side. Students are more apt to be attracted by clear messaging, not ambiguity and confusion. If they have no idea what Aikido is, they will likely pass it by in search of a martial art which provides a clear message. Since Aikido is decentralized, I cannot envision exactly how this branding challenge will be solved. Others much smarter than I may be able to come up with a viable solution. Although I fall solidly into the camp of those who believe Aikido is a potent martial art capable of self-defense applications, any solution must be a win for both camps. Neither camp is going to disappear. There are too many in each, with deep passions on both sides. My feeling is that something significant is going to have to change if Aikido is going to present itself clearly to the public. It will have to change, even just to resolve its internal identity crisis. That will have to happen first. How will it come out? Time will tell. If we look at history, the status quo always tends to lose out to those who innovate. Growth is the key to the future, not merely adhering to old standards. Martial arts are living things, which are either growing or dying. The same goes for organizations, dojos, and even individual practitioners. Growth means innovating. To a martial artist, it means working outside your comfort zone. Practice should be challenging and take you to the point where you are a little worried. When you practice, don't just try to make every technique flawless and pretty. Try to see how far you can push your technique to break it. Never demand cooperation and compliance to make yourself look and feel good. You will never be adequately motivated to do this because of what others think, nor should you. Your martial art is what you want to make of it, not your instructor, not your fellow students, you. Follow your passion and ambition. Don't settle for mediocrity. If you're in a dojo which doesn't bring out the best in you, tell your instructors you want more. If they aren't responsive, find another dojo who will give you what you want and what you are paying for. There are those of us out there who are driven to have our Aikido effective for self-defense. I think Aikido is by far the best martial art for civilians. That is, those who are not looking to become fighters, but to end violence decisively with maximum efficiency while being in full control and avoiding causing unnecessary harm. People who are serious about protecting themselves and their families without turning into monsters will find the martial side of Aikido fulfilling. There certainly is a component of character and compassion within most martial arts. To me, Aikido represents a perfect blend of strategy, ethics, control, and effectiveness to deal with the type of violence civilians might be faced with. It won't make them gods of combat, but will give them much better chances to survive a violent encounter. I'm talking about the martially focused Aikido when it is trained properly. In the end, I think it's important to be crystal clear about what it is you do. If you are an instructor or are putting together marketing or advertising for your dojo, it will help immensely to describe in detail exactly what the student should expect from their training. Give them a full picture of the benefits of training with you and your group. Just make sure that they are making a well-informed decision. I think there's room for all kinds of people with different interests to train in martial arts, and I count people doing Tai Chi among them. It's okay if others want to train in other ways. We must just be clear about it so that there are no misunderstandings or false beliefs built up in students. When that happens, it's bad for everyone. No one wants to run into a crisis of faith and feel like they got lied to and ripped off. If the Aikido community starts putting forth this clarity, I think it could be well understood that there are different expressions of Aikido, and that practitioners should find where they fit into it. I feel it would be better if there were some sort of basic term to describe the different approaches, but perhaps that's not entirely necessary. Each of us can do our part to support this. It doesn't need to be declared or decreed by anyone. If you feel there is value in being clear about exactly what you do, then reflect that in your language with your students and prospective students. Consider it like a business putting forth their mission statement. Businesses often get lost in the weeds of their daily operations and lose sight of their purpose and goals. They struggle with their identity, and employees get lost about what the company's purpose is. The solution is to clarify the vision and send a strong message to everyone what the company is about. This benefits the management, the entire staff, and those outside the company. Most importantly, prospective customers need to understand what the company is about. Does this sound familiar? Prospective students should not be confused about what it is your dojo offers and what they can expect training there. It is very helpful to realize when there is confusion or lack of clarity in the vision of any group. When that happens, stop and take a moment to get clear on what you're doing. Also keep in mind that groups change and evolve over time as students grow, new members come in, and current students depart. You may assume everyone is on the same page, but it pays to confirm it. Take the time and have discussions about the vision and direction of the group, and see if creating a new and updated vision or mission statement is in order. When you do this, it will create some excitement and energy. People often like being asked for their opinion and input. If you find your group is experiencing a sag in energy or engagement, this simple and direct approach can give an excellent boost of energy. People get excited when they know that they are getting what they are interested in. Remember at the beginning when I said that everything starts with attitude? Take on an attitude that you can get out of Aikido what you want. Never let your mind sink into saying things like, I can't, I won't, I don't need to, or it won't work. The Aikido version of this is, Aikido can't, or Aikido isn't. These are limiters we put on ourselves. The body cannot do what the mind cannot envision. There are no greater bonds than those we put on ourselves. Do not let yourself or your Aikido be constrained by self-imposed limits. You and Aikido can be far greater than that. Find your potential and the potential of Aikido. I'm sure we all agree that Aikido can be great. Your challenge is to make your Aikido great. The first step is getting in the right mindset, having the right attitude. Then you can get to work. What do you think? Please share your ideas in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or go to the Facebook group Aikido the Martial Side and post a comment. The Spirit Aikido Online program is now live. Subscribers get access to video training and mentoring to techniques and training methods that I've adopted from other martial arts to make my Aikido more practical. There's a link in the description section. I invite you to check it out. I always enjoy hearing from listeners of the show, whether through comments or questions. Thank you all for sharing your interest. Enjoy your training.